now we're going to look at analytical geometry. Analytical geometry is one of the last chapters जो आपके second year mathematics में आएंगे. This is a very intuitive chapter. ठीक होगा, इसमें आप लोगों की imagination बहुत इस्तेमाल होगी. So the analytical geometry deals with the coordinate system. Coordinate system is the xy axis जिस पे हमारे पास different units represent होते हैं on the x axis and different on the y axis. So इससे होता है if you want to represent any point या any line, so it's just going to be a set of points on the coordinate plane. So if you have a point which is going to be, for example, 2, 1, so it's 2 units away on the x-axis towards the right-hand side and 1 unit above the x-axis on the y-axis. So ये हमारे पास 2, 1 एक point आ गया on the coordinate plane. Now let's talk about why analytical geometry is important. हमारे पास जितनी भी objects in the real world, जितने भी functions हैं, they're actually shapes on the graph. They can be represented by different shapes. So analytical geometry helps us to understand those shapes. For example, हमारे पास 2 points given on the geometrical plane, coordinate plane, and we have to find the distance between those 2 points. तो हम उसके लिए अब हम distance formula इस्तेमाल करते हैं. In this case, which is a distance formula represent करने के लिए between 2 points A and B हमारे पास होता है straight lines. Represent straight lines around the letters A and B represent the distance between them. और इसका formula होता है whole square root of x2 minus x1 का whole square plus y2 minus y1 का whole square. Now here the x2 is the x coordinate of point B and the x1 is the x coordinate of A, and y2 is the y coordinate of B and y1 is the y coordinate of A. This is just a basic formula जिससे हमारे पास 2 points का distance या एक line की length पता चल जाती है. Of course अगर हम 2 points को आपस में straight line से जोड़ते हैं, that is the distance between those 2 points या the length of that line. This is a magnitude value. इससे हमें ये नहीं पता कि direction क्या है उन 2 points की, उससे बिल्कुल नहीं पता चलता. This will only tell us जो distance है and the magnitude of those 2 points. Another important type of हमारे पास जो क्वेश्चन आता है वो होता है कि dividing a line in a certain ratio. Suppose हमारे पास एक ratio k1 ratio k2 given है, ठीक हो गया. Now we have to divide a line. Again, keep in mind a line is 2 points. We have to divide that line into that ratio. तो उसका हमारे पास formula given है कि the first point जो कि मतलब the point that divides the line in that ratio will be given by k1 x2 plus k2 x1 over k1 plus k2. This is the x coordinate and the y coordinate is k1 y2 plus k2 y1 over k1 plus k2. This is the y coordinate. And of course for midpoint हमारे पास जो point होगा उसकी ratio on the left side of the line and the right hand side of the line वो same होगी. So अगर हमारे पास ratio given है 1:1, then that will convert this formula into the midpoint formula for any line. Okay, now we have a basic understanding of analytical geometry का मतलब क्या होता है in the coordinate plane and everything like that. So let's focus on translation and rotation. These are subtopics. Translation is कि अगर हमारे पास पूरा x axis और y axis उठ के कहीं और चला गया in the coordinate plane, तो what will the new coordinates of a point relative to that second origin be? So इसके लिए हम suppose जो नया x coordinates को capital X से donate करते हैं और जो नया y coordinates को capital Y से donate करते हैं. So capital X will be equal to x1 minus x2 and capital Y will be equal to y1 minus y2. यहाँ मैंने left hand side would be x1 और y1 लिखा है, but imagine that as capital X and capital Y. So x1 in this case will be the original x value and y1 in this case will be the original y value, and x2 and y2 are the x and y coordinates respectively of the new origin जो हमारे पास आ गया. That is the basic explanation of how translation works in the axes. अब हम rotation की बात करते हैं. Suppose हमारे पास एक point है on a coordinate plane और पूरा का पूरा coordinate plane अब हम rotate कर रहे हैं, suppose 30 degrees in our case. तो अब जो point है उसकी क्या value बनेगी if that point remains in the same place and only the axes rotate. तो after rotation the new x value capital X will be equal to x cos theta plus y sin theta. Again, keep in mind in our case right now theta is equal to 30 degrees and the new y value capital Y will be equal to y cos theta minus x of sine theta. Again, theta will still be 30 degrees. This will be the new x and y coordinates of the point, which will remain stationary, and only the coordinate axes will rotate by 30 degrees. Again, in our case. Okay, lastly, again ये एक formality होने लगी है. It's a MCQ जो कि हर दफ़ा NET में आता है, but it's only going to be one MCQ. तो मैं जल्दी से ज़रा quickly go through करता हूँ through this. हमारे पास suppose एक triangle given है, उसके तमाम angular bisectors draw हुए हैं. Angular bisector जो एक angle को half में cut करे. So जिस point पे वो meet करते हैं उसको भी एक नाम दिया हुआ है. उसको नाम दिया गया, हम उसके end पे आते हैं क्या क्या नाम दिए गए हैं. But दिस हैज़ अ नेम, ठीक हो गया. इन द सेम वे अगर हमारे पास परपेंडिकुलर बाइसेक्टर्स हैं ऑफ ईच साइड ऑफ अ ट्राइंगल, परपेंडिकुलर बाइसेक्टर ये होता है जो एक लाइन को मिडिल से कट करता है एंड इट इज़ परपेंडिकुलर टू दैट लाइन, उसे परपेंडिकुलर बाइसेक्टर कहते हैं. अगर हमारे पास वो गिवन है ऑफ द थ्री साइड्स ऑफ ट्राइंगल तो उसका भी एक नाम है. एंड लास्टली अगर हमारे पास एक ट्राइंगल गिवन है उसकी तमाम एल्टीट्यूड्स गिवन है, एंड एल्टीट्यूड इज़ ए लाइन जो कि एक पॉइंट से perpendicular है to the opposite line, ठीक हो गया. It does not bisect that other line, it does not have to bisect that other line, but it's perpendicular to that line and it crosses the other point जो opposite point है. तो all of these three cases में हमारे पास जो तीनों lines हैं they are concurrent, they join at one singular point. इस point को point of concurrency कहते हैं where all of these lines join या pass through each other. So in all of these cases इस point of concurrency का एक नाम है. So when angular bisectors are concurrent तो उस point को हम कहते हैं incenter. When perpendicular bisectors are concurrent with the point at which they all cross is called the circumcenter, and the point at which all the altitudes cross each other is called the orthocenter. These drawings are not according to scale, however these cases are always true. तो इन्हें incenter, circumcenter और orthocenter कहेंगे respectively.